Thank you for the presentation. It's really lovely building and set the plan. But I do want to know how durable is it during a hurricane, like a category 1 or 2, please?
Good question.
Repeat the question.
So the question was, how durable is the building as far as storms go? This is a very exposed area. It will be designed, so codes, everyone says, well, we designed it to code, so it'll resist the storms. We do design to code. Codes are base minimums, so we'll do a little bit more than that. We have structural engineers that look at it for wind. We have, the windows will be impact windows, so there won't be any putting shutters up or anything if a storm's coming. They're built to resist the storms just the way they are. Foundation is a slab concrete foundation, all tied together. It is storm resistant. It's because of this location, we're going to assign our structural engineers to be sure that this isn't just a minimum building, that it is not a fortified building, but something similar to that. So it's designed to resist storms, is a simple answer.
Thanks for the design and thoughts. It looks very nice. Are you going to be able to phase in the construction to where access to either Pine Island or the waterfront walkway will be accessible throughout the construction?
Yes, absolutely. We'll be working with staff and identifying sort of the construction sequence and how all this will come together. We'll still try to provide as much accessibility to the area as possible. So kind of shifting things around as they evolve and come to completion. So yes.
I see that you've moved the basketball court over there. What are the options for providing a future pickleball court near there while you're doing all this planning and excavation and everything else?
Well, one of the things is the pickleball is better suited over at the tennis area. So that hasn't really been considered as an option. It was brought up, somebody pointed that out in the survey, but felt like that begins to add a bigger footprint that maybe this area might deserve.
Will the pavilion have Wi-Fi capability?
Yes.
Start and finish date. What is the proposed start and finish date? That's a question for the board. And as soon as we get feedback from this meeting, Tom and Todd will redesign the plans based on the feedback we get from you guys. That will be brought back to the rec committee and the board. That could happen as early as December, January timeframe. Then we would probably ask Tom and Todd to bid the project out. That will take a month, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Come back with analysis of that. So we're probably talking as the best start date would be in April, May timeframe. After you go through that whole process. And then next logical question is, with the plans we have on paper now, how long will it take to construct? And that's probably more of a builder question, but you guys have some experience with that. What's your best guess?
6 months, probably. Sometimes just leave a little fluff in there. 7 months, depends on the weather.
So if we start in April, May, we'd have it completed by the end of the year.
And I would add too that as part of our design process, this is a pretty sensitive area, so we have to work closely with the town and their requirements, and they're going to be very sensitive of these trees and how we develop around them as well.
Hold the mic up.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rick, and I've lived here for 3 months now, and I come here every day. This is just a fantastic part of my new life. 2 suggestions to think about. One, these restrooms get locked all the time during the day, and it would be wonderful if there could be some sort of push-button combination lock on them, that residents know what the combination is so we can get in. The other thing is, when I drive over here, there are many times are people out walking on the road because there are no sidewalks, and it really could be a safety hazard out there. just some ideas to think.
And that was on our master plan, was to put a walk out there to basically connect all the way over to this side as well. Thank you.
Y'all referenced a couple of times a aggregate, soft shell aggregate paving in this area behind the deck. Is that going to be an embedded paving, or is it going to be, like loose aggregate gravel? What are y'all actually referencing there? Thank you.
That area, as you get closer to the water's edge, would be a loose aggregate type surface. I kind of equate a little bit to what you see around Harbor Town Marina, that type of thing.
I'd like to ask a question. Currently, the catering trucks for the events drive up what I'll call that tabby walk, and then across to the front of the house, and in doing so, they practice that tabby walk. So, is that how the trucks will get up to the catering area? They'll drive up the tabby walk, or is that being replaced? And if so, if it's being replaced, will that go all the way up to the water, where you're talking about enhanced pathways, which I presume are at least big enough for two people to walk side by side?
The back row asks that you repeat the questions too.
Okay, the question is how will catering vehicles have access to the building? And right now it's breaking up the sidewalk that's over there now, crushing it, it's cracked. And I think to your other point is some of that sidewalk is pretty narrow that you have to walk single file on, which is not the code anymore. So that was part of one of my suggestions, is that entire walk that's on the upper side of the bluff would be replaced with a new walk that would be wider. One of the things that we've already addressed is that there will be a service side of the building. There'll be a little bit of a screened service yard, and that area will be accessible basically by a mulched pathway. But where it crosses over that sidewalk will be reinforced to be able to withstand vehicle loads. And these sidewalks were never meant to take that kind of load, so that's why they're cracked. And just looking at how things were functioning today, we might even address the front of the building and reinforcing some of those sidewalks, because more than likely there will be a vehicle driving over that as well. So those are good comments.
I love it. Is it really going to be just 3 steps down to the land, as the
From back here,
rendering shows?
no, it would not be.
Because now it's about 6 from the building.
Right, and all that will get worked out, but this is really just kind of a concept plan, but the idea is to try to keep this deck all on one level. It'll be ADA accessible, there will be ramps up to it, but over here on the waterfront side, the stairs will have, they'll have to go down to the existing grade level.
Congratulations on an outstanding plan. I hope it's all going to be built at once. My guess is it's going to be phased. Do you have any idea how the phasing will be done, various elements over time?
Linda, what you see on the paper today is phase 1. The second phase would be on that side of the building, redoing that area. So what you see on the paper now, that's, obviously when we get the price, we may change that. But for now, what we want to bid is what you see on the paper.
Yeah, some of the fringes, basically we're going to focus in this core area as a phase 1 element, and as you work your way out to the perimeters, we'll begin to see where those fit in, even in the parking lot. We're going to try to address all the parking that is defined right around the main areas, but as you kind of work your way around, like case in point, a lot of the asphalt drive is bad, and it should all be replaced, but we might, as a phase 1 element, replace the area that's right here by the building and where we're proposing new parking. So we're going to try to be strategic with that phasing and make sure that we address as much of the priority areas as possible.
And Glenn, anything that the budget can't absorb, we happen to name it after you. With the right enumeration. And that goes for anybody.
All right, I have a question. Down on the boardwalk, the beach got used a real lot this year. And I was wondering if there's any plan to have a restroom or porta potty activity over by the end of the boardwalk. When you're talking about putting a dog wash down there, maybe you could put a restroom too.
Well, that's not included on the plan, because obviously there's expense with that. So we're relying right now on enhancing this facility, making it accessible from the inside and from the outside, so. Yeah, you know, what we tried to do right now was with the community survey, there were several comments about, you know, a place, you know, dog poop bags and dog wash area, and, you know, I go down there too. I'd like to wash my feet off, you know, because all the sand. I don't think I mentioned that we are going to address the end of that boardwalk and move the sidewalk or the stairs from the water side. Oh, it is done, okay, so phase 0 is complete.
Putting a porta potty at the end of the boardwalk is not going to happen. I mean, you have to have access to that with a truck in order to service it, and you're not going to have access to the truck. It doesn't matter. You have to get down onto the sand to get to it. If you have it, you go really close by, and if that's close, might as well use this. But we'll look at what your suggestion.
I would say, if you look at the plan, we do have a better network of paths that tie over there, either, you know, the waterfront, or there'll be paths along here that will reach out over to that area as well, because right now, you just kind of have to traverse through the mulch and sand.
Thank you so much for this plan, it's fabulous. I have a question, could you elaborate on the fireplace that will be inside? If it's wood burning, if you have a party there and use it, are you responsible for getting rid of the ashes and so forth and so on? Thanks.
So the fireplace on the inside will not be wood burning. That's a little bit of a liability issue. Who would clean it up? And that's those good points. I think there's been discussion about the fire pits outside, what those would be, and whether that would be an opportunity for real fire. But the one in the building is a brick fireplace with a gas log set that's very simple, easy to use, and kind of idiot-proof.
Hello? I'm wondering, I don't see a volleyball or net on the plan, and I think that's actually my family uses that a lot, and it's a good thing for teens and young adults to have a facility like that.
Right now, the feedback that we had from the committee and staff was that we would do away with the sand volleyball. Now, there may be an opportunity to include the volleyball as part of that basketball area. That we talked about that maybe being a sport court, but there may be other uses within that confinement. Could you hear me? We've been directed by feedback from the committee, and in the survey didn't have the volleyball as a priority with the sand volleyball, so that it's not on the master plan at this point. But I was saying that it could be incorporated as a multi-use sport court that's part of the basketball area. That there could be the lines and everything put down on that. So we've done that a number of times where the basketball area is multiple uses. Correct.
When the renovation is underway, will this area be off limits?
Yes.
Yes. The question was, when this is being under construction, will this be off limits? And the answer is yes. The contractor will take control of this site and will probably barricade it, try to keep it safe, keep people safely out of it.
I live directly across from the park here, and so I'm a little concerned about the lighting. I see nothing on here that shows where the lighting will be, and with larger events and pathways. Can you go into a little bit about the lighting, or do you have plans that if I go to the POA office that I will be able to see what lighting plans there are?
We don't have lighting plans right now, but we've talked about it, and the intent for the lighting is to be very subdued. It would be kind of like some of these fixtures that the lighting source is concealed and it will be shining down. There will be some pathway lighting out here for safety, because once this facility gets renovated, just like Spring Lake Pavilion or the pool area, the use will go up. So people will want to use this into the evening hours, so there will be some lighting, but it will be very subdued, and the light sources will be screened so that it will be shining on the ground but not shining outward.
Yes, I have a question about where the steps are. Are there any plans for railings for coming up the steps or the ramps?
Yes, yes, everything will be designed to code, so if there are ramps and things like that, there will be handrails on those, yes. And we'll probably incorporate some of that around the outer perimeter, and right now that's kind of a detail that we haven't gotten to yet, so the perspectives that we generated were done, to give everybody a sense of, what we're talking about, but there's still a little more detail to be worked out in design. Good point.
Have you considered a dog park in your planning?
It has been brought up, but it felt like this wasn't the appropriate area for a dog park, that there may be another place somewhere else, but at this point in time, it's more open and using it for the playground and the pavilion building and stuff like that. So that's not incorporated into the master plan at this point.
We have an idea for that for the future, yeah. Not in this location. Yeah, and we're doing another residential survey. We're going to talk about that at the coffee, and those questions, pickleball, the dog park will be on there. So if that's something you're interested in, check the box. That'll be in April.
Do you have plans to add any more trees to the playground area? Because right now we've lost a few trees and it's way too hot to use in the summer.
Yes, on the landscaping side, we do plan to add more trees out here, begin to sort of replace some of the trees that have been lost over time. We're also going to try to incorporate some shade in here as well, so some trees and maybe add some shade elements as well. So yes.
Why do you feel compelled to remove the sand from the playground area?
It's probably it's a challenge to maintain. It has to be supplemented, I think, every year. And it's not accessible to code for playgrounds and access anymore. And I was here this morning, and they were blowing that off, and they were blowing sand all over the place.
Nowadays, you need to have it wheelchair accessible, and sand is not an element that is wheelchair accessible.
Thank you. I'd like to know whether you will have planned to separate recyclables versus the real trash in the new plan.
Yes.
Will we have recycling bins? Yes. Gentleman out the back, was this someone out here? Peter, could you just answer back over the physical size of your proposed?
If I heard you correctly, the existing building is 20 years old and is essentially a tear down. What would be the life expectancy of this new building?
The new building will be here forever. I don't know how old this building is, but I'm guessing it's more than 20 years old.
It's probably closer to 40 years old.
Yeah, I've been here 37 years, and it was here when I was here, so.
It was one of the first buildings the developer put in, for obvious reasons. It's a marketing tool.
So this building has done really well for how it was built. I mean, it's amazing that it's still here after all the storms and everything. The new construction is much more robust than the way this is built. So it would be here as long as it's appropriate for this space. The building will be here.
pits, with drought and everything, are you gonna have it more gas, or who's gonna control for fire, and if it gets out of control and?
It's a fire pit, much the same as you have at the Spring Lake Pavilion, where drop-ins can go up there. If they have wood, they can start a fire, but it's their responsibility to put it out. And that's why we have great security officers and a great fire department if someone screws up. So far, so good. And this gentleman over here had a question. Okay, Tom, would you go over the physical size
Sure.
of the building one more time?
So the main space is 28 by 48. 28 feet by 48. This building is 20 by 32. Is that what you're looking for? 1,200 square feet of porch and 1,800 square feet of interior space.
Any other questions? We want to thank